This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Chang rebuffs Buntin's claim of uneven budget for JCF and the JDF. Dr. Horace Chang has rebuffed a claim by his opposition counterpart Peter Buntin that the National Security Ministry's budgetary allocation to the Jamaica Constabulary Force strongly dwarfed that of the Jamaica Defense Forces. Addressing the 79th Jamaica Police Federation Conference at Ocean Coral Spring Resort in Trelawney on Tuesday, Buntin accused the ministry of providing the JDF with more than 2 times the amount allocated to the JCF. A budget is a statement of priorities, and when you examine the budget of the Ministry of National Security over the last 7 years, what you will see is that the JCF has been treated as the poor cousin of the Ministry of National Security, Buntin charged. But the claim was refuted by Chang, who made a virtual address to the conference held under the theme Stronger Together Towards Tomorrow, Conquering the Challenges of Change. The police force is not a second cousin of the ministry, it is the primary responsibility of the ministry. We only provide administrative services to the Ministry of Defense, Dr. Chang said. There is an unusual reference from time to time to what has been done to the Army versus the JCF. It's 2 different organizations. They are all Jamaicans, and I don't wish to adopt, which is more colonial, the practice to divide and rule. The Army is a much smaller organization and has a smaller span, has 2 operation bases in Upper Camp and Burke Barracks in Montego Bay, and some training in Monique, Dr. Chang said. The Jamaica Constabulary Force spans the entire country and covers the entire spectrum of law enforcement with over 200 facilities in which there are 186 police stations and is the primary symbol of the legal authority of Jamaica in our communities. That stands out for the police and it cannot be changed, nor will we make any effort to change that, Dr. Chang explained. Buntin had provided statistics to support his point that the JDF has been allocated the lion's share of the recurrent and the capital budget of the Ministry of National Security over the period 2014 and 2022. Between 2014 and 2015 and 2021 and 2022, the recurrent budget increased from $50 billion to just over $80 billion. Now let us drill down to the JCF and the JDF. In that time, the JCF's recurring budget increased by a third, about 33%. The JDF's recurring budget increased by over 100%, 3 or 4 times the percentage increase the JCF had, said Buntin, who served as National Security Minister from 2012 to 2016. When we look at the capital expenditure side specifically, the JDF's capital budget peaked at over $12 billion. The JCF has not even gotten half of that. So consistently, the JDF gets more than twice the capital allocation that the JCF has as a result of what I consider an ill-advised and badly skewed expenditure, Buntin argued. Dr. Chang, however, countered, we started the capital investment because that's the easier one. The ministry itself, I can say, you and I know, is public, was not institutionally organized to manage the kind of funding we are putting in there. That's just the reality. It took a while to get the ministry oriented and organized to be able to put the kind of capital required, and then we were hit by COVID for 2 years. We are on that road. We are in fact investing heavily in the police force. Meanwhile, Buntin raised the issue of the operational differences between police and the soldiers. The soldiers are neither trained nor equipped to do the work that the police officers can do. I have no problem with soldiers being used to support our policing, but they cannot be used instead of police. And that is why, for example, we saw those embarrassing episodes in the Denham Town Zozo. Inexcusable, there is no reason, no matter how provoking the civilian lady may have been, to be kicking an unarmed woman who they alleged was pregnant. There is no justification for using a rifle butt like an axe and hammering people in their head, Buntin stated. Meanwhile, Dr. Chang in his address dismissed the speculation of a merger of the 2 forces. There is no intention to merge the JCF into the JDF at any time, he said, and there is no intention to diminish the role of the police force in relation to territorial law enforcement vis-à-vis the Jamaica Defense Force. With the level of violence in the country, we have had to put the JDF on the street much more than is normal. Government providing free lands to 5,000 farmers, says Charles Jr. The government says 5,000 farmers, mostly youth and women, will receive land free of cost under a program designed to expand food production in new underutilized areas. According to Agriculture and Fisheries Minister Pernell Charles Jr., the initiative will cost $63 million and will be implemented over the current 2022-2023 period. Charles Jr. announced the program in his contribution to the sectorial debate in Parliament on Tuesday, saying that the government will fund the cost to prepare up to 1 acre of land free of cost to each of the farmers. This initiative, he said, will be coordinated through the Rural Agricultural Development Authority in collaboration with producer marketing organizations, Jamaica Agricultural Society, and the Jamaica 4-H clubs. The program, he said, is being implemented as the Agriculture and the Fisheries Ministry continues to develop strategies to engage and motivate young people to invest in agriculture, including its policy to make 20% of all productive lands available to youth. In that vein, 105 hectares or 260 acres of land have been made available to vulnerable groups, particularly youth and women. We have achieved 86% of our target by adding 39 youths to the agri-parks and the production zones for the financial year 2021 to 2022, Charles Jr. told the Parliament. He said Jamaica 4-H clubs, in collaboration with Agro Investment Corporation, has placed 10 young people on lands at Ebony Park Agro Park. Additionally, because of strong interest by youth farmers for agricultural lands, Jamaica 4-H clubs is working with the Sugar Company of Jamaica Holdings to identify additional lands for them. Charles Jr. also said that through the Rural Youth Economic Empowerment Program, 291 agribusinesses were established and the participants received startup grants of $50,000, 6 months of business coaching, training in business development and management, and agriculture best practices for targeted production and training in basic computing. Additionally, the Jamaica 4-H clubs provided youth with over 270,000 training opportunities, financial support to 363 needy students pursuing studies in agriculture, and the establishment of 367 school gardens, the minister said. Migratory criminals creating mayhem in St. Elizabeth, says top cop. Economic growth in fast rising St. Elizabeth towns has lured migratory criminals to the southwestern parish, which is a great concern for law enforcers. That's presenting a threat to emerging hubs like Junction, where people are seeking to establish businesses, raise their children, and retire. Migratory criminals will use the opportunities to commit crimes once they are requested to do so by their counterparts within the parish. They operate as one criminal network. They all meet in prison, and when they come out, it is mayhem on the land not only in St. Elizabeth, but right across the country, Superintendent Dwight Daly, head of the St. Elizabeth Police Division, said. Daly suggested that there is a fluid network of gangsters who leverage cross-parish ties to commit crimes through proxies to evade detention. Our St. Elizabeth criminals will go to Westmoreland and commit crimes, and the Westmoreland criminals would come up to St. Elizabeth and to commit crimes, the divisional commander said in a news interview. If they are from Junction, they would not go up front. They would send the persons from outside the parish to do the robbery, and then that person would leave and go back to Westmoreland, which makes it harder for the case to be solved. Robberies and shootings feature highly on the list of major crimes being committed in the parish. Data from the Statistics Unit of the Jamaica Constabulary Force show that between January 1 and May 14 this year, St. Elizabeth has seen 25 cases of robberies, an increase of 150% from 2021. Shootings have increased by 100%, with 10 incidents over the period. Murders are also up by 80% with 18 cases. Marlon Gager, a 38-year-old taxi operator and a shop owner of Spring Park in the parish, and a 34-year-old Samantha Johnson, a bartender of a Spanish Town St. Catherine address, are the latest murder victims after they were shot and killed while at a bar near Black River on Friday, May 13. In explaining how the criminal network operates, Daly pointed to the murder of 2 Chinese business operators in Bellevue District in the parish on December 23 last year, where He Kong Wang, 48, and Shi Young Chu, 53, operators of Jojo Supermarket, were killed during a robbery by 3 gunmen at the store. Those killers are from St. Mary, but they link with criminals in St. Elizabeth, and they also link with Westmoreland criminals. That is how they operate, he said. The guys from down here, they went to St. Mary, did a robbery and stole a licensed firearm. That's how they work together to commit serious crimes, the St. Elizabeth police chief explained. He said criminals are going to be interested in Junction because the monies are being handled there. People work hard doing their farming, so they handle money. If a scammer makes a lot of money and they have the information, they are going for it, he continued, pointing out that it is difficult to tie these criminals to any particular location. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.